What did the Blues' victory over the Columbus Blue Jackets show us, and how this team will be towards the regular season? I have my opinion, and I think you're going to like it. This is all coming up here on Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host, Haley Taylor Simon. And in today's episode, I will go over the Blues win over the Columbus Blue Jackets, and I'm going to share some more thoughts on what Torey Krug had to say about not waiving his no trade clause to go to Philadelphia. And then finally, the Blues could realistically be a 40-plus win team. And before we get into today's episode, I do want to say this is the most glorious time for all hockey fans. All teams have a clean slate heading into the season. And for those that do not want to be optimistic, please try to be a little bit more optimistic, because the Blues, they could surprise you. And that is what I'm going to get into with the Blues' win over the Columbus Blue Jackets last night. For my everydayers, if you watched my episode yesterday, you know I was actually recording during the first intermission between the first and second period. And the Blues, they were up 3-1 after the first period. And I have to tell you, I did not expect them to not score the rest of the game, but that is what happened. But I'm going to also go over the game with you, because preseason, I see preseason in two ways. One, I see it as the management looking at players that they're unsure of to get a feel for how they would be on the team. And then secondly, putting some guys out there that are natural leaders and see how the younger guys adapt to them is another big testament of preseason. People that panic during preseason, I will never understand, because there are 6 preseason games. And preseason, it's weird. It's not normal hockey. It's still hockey, absolutely, but you're not going to look at the preseason games the same way you look at regular season hockey. So with that being said, yesterday in the first period, and I know I said this yesterday, but for those that did not see yesterday's episode, I want to give you my full analysis of this game. So, first period, it wasn't mainly that eventful. I mean, I know there were some goals, which happens to be eventful, but Jacob Vanera scores a goal. It was a backhander off of a faceoff. This is what I like to see. I thought this was a beautiful goal. Kevin Hayes was in yesterday's game. Nothing too crazy from Hayes. I mean, he did well during the faceoffs, and that's definitely an asset that the Blues could use. But other than that, Hayes was more kind of quiet on ice. Then the Blue Jackets, they tie it up as Emil Benstrom scores a goal, and the game is 1-1. Isaac Ratcliffe, again, he's on a professional tryout. The Blues acquired Ratcliffe from Philadelphia when Kevin Hayes came over. That was part of the deal. And he was able to give the Blues a 2-1 lead with a nice wrist shot, assisted by Brandon Saad and our St. Louis Blues captain, Braden Shen. And then Oscar Sonny scored a goal. It was a snapshot, and it was actually assisted by Nick Ritchie and Kevin Hayes. And Sonny coming back to St. Louis has been one of the most positive things. And for me personally, when I look at the St. Louis Blues team, it just feels more complete now that Sundqvist is back with the Blues. He brings such an energy, and his skill set definitely has improved since the last time he was here in St. Louis. So happy to have Sonny back. All in all, that was really the gist of the first period. Nothing, I mean, I know 3 goals, but it wasn't like anything that really stood out to me. Now, the second period, this is interesting because it was really back and forth between these two teams. Again, Kevin Hayes, he was taking shots, okay? So he was actually putting his effort in, and he was doing really well in the faceoff. So again, that is something that's good. It was good to see Nick Ritchie taking some hits. He did end up fighting, okay, against Josh Dunn. It was counted as a game misconduct. It's fine. I like to see that effort on the ice. And that is something for me that is really uber important, is when a player is able to be, I don't want to say in midseason form during preseason, but just to see them with that excitement on the ice definitely is something that I get joy out of. So I was happy to see that for Mr. Nick Ritchie. Going on to the third period, again, wasn't extremely eventful. The Blues, I have to say, they did really well in the faceoffs. Sonny did well in the faceoffs as well. And Sammy Blais was putting in some energy during the game, hitting some guys, being aggressive. But again, when your team isn't that great, you want to see them take ownership of the ice. That is something that is important. Now, Tanner Dickinson of the St. Louis Blues holding against Josh Dunn. This Josh Dunn was a problem for the Blues. And Dickinson, I mean, I didn't see much from him in this game. That was really the only key thing that I have written down from him. But there was just a lot of stupid mistakes. There was Mackenzie McEachern interference against Trey Fix-Wolnowski. And it's like, you cannot make these stupid mistakes. And then Emil Benstrom got his second goal of the game. It was a slap shot. And I have to say, despite that, it was the opposing team. It happened to be a very nice goal. But other than that, the game was just kind of back and forth, and the Blues came out victorious on top with a 3-2 victory. My takeaways from this game was they had a good first period. Second period was more realistic to how the season will be, with more of a fight between two teams and not the Blues being as dominant. But the third period were just some sloppy mistakes that ended up leading to Columbus scoring. Now, I don't want to say that the first period tired out St. Louis, but it definitely was a shift in the game, and I would have liked to have seen them maintain that same energy that they had in the first period into the third period. Last night's game, obviously, it was at Enterprise Center with 15,417 in attendance. That's 85% capacity. So obviously, Blues fans are uber excited to see their team back in action. While I understand, hell, preseason, come on. It doesn't mean anything. You know, you can't count the points. I'm going to count the points because right now in preseason, it is interesting. The Blues are 2-1. They have 4 points. And for me, I'm like, okay, that's a little exciting. Above the Blues are Winnipeg and then Dallas. And for them to be third, I know. Who was counting standings in preseason? Your girl of Locked On Blues. But I'm doing it for a reason. It is because the Blues, they don't have all of their forces out on the ice yet. And yet they're able to actually play good hockey, which has been surprising. And I'm going to talk about that later on in this episode. But it is something to take kind of into consideration. Hey, this team might be better than people are giving them credit for, and by people, I mean our own fan base. Because I feel like we are always the hardest on ourselves and the Blues rather than the NHL, because the NHL has been posting St. Louis like crazy, and I have not seen this happen in a very long time. Every day I go on Instagram, and the NHL is posting more and more about the Blues. But this win over the Blue Jackets, in my professional analysis, in my opinion, this win was against a team that is not very good. The Blue Jackets are not a good team. But on the other hand, that being said, neither are the Blues. But when you're going against a team that is significantly worse than you, because the Blue Jackets suck, I'm so sorry to my friends down in Columbus, but that's my opinion. You have an interesting opportunity to try things out against a team that may not be able to block you or stop you. So last night, all the face-off wins, and I need to find that percentage because I felt like when I was watching the game, every single time, I mean, they had a face-off, I feel like the Blues won. But ironically, wow, I'm surprised. Columbus won 31 faceoffs while the Blues won 27. And if you would have put that into percentage, Columbus had 53% while the Blues had 46%. It seemed to me, and I understand like the box scores are the box scores and you can't argue with that. But just watching the game, it just seemed to me like the Blues were more dominant when it came to the faceoffs. I'm a little surprised about that. Again, it's because the Blues had such a stellar first period that's probably why I thought they had more wins, but that is the reality. And then the penalty minutes are a little concerning. The Blues had 23 penalty minutes. Obviously, fighting, you're going to have a major, so that's 5 minutes, and then you can accumulate and you can see how that goes. But the Blues only had 13 shots on net. 3 of them went in, so that is very good. But then Columbus had 32 shots on net. And I am a little bit concerned. Now, Binner did start in the first period, and then Subban came in. And my philosophy with this is I want the Blues to take more shots, and I've been saying that since day one. So it is a little disappointing when you are going against a team like the Blue Jackets, who are not the best team, and you can utilize that. Before I continue to go on my rants, because I do that sometimes here in Locked On Blues, I want to tell you about my friends at DoorDash. Oh man, I love the convenience of getting what I want right to my door. And with DoorDash, you can get DoorDash grocery delivery. You can stock up for the week and get last minute cravings consistently. But this is what I like most about DoorDash. With thousands of grocery stores to choose from, you'll find the best in your neighborhood and boost your local economy with each and every order. That is really important to me. You know, I love to give back to the small businesses in my community, so I love that DoorDash does offer that. DoorDash also, if you order something and they can't find it, if they don't have it in stock, they have substitutions. And I've done this before. And sometimes I like the substitutions a little bit better than the actual product that I ordered. I know I'm one of those people where I stick to my routine, but I'm like, okay, I kind of like that. So this is what I want you to do if you want to get some of your groceries from DoorDash. Get 50% off your first DoorDash order and up to a $20 value when you use code LOCKED at checkout. Limited time offer, terms apply. That's 50% off, up to $20, no minimum subtotal, and 0 delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter code LOCKED. Don't forget, that's code LOCKED, LOCKED, for 50% off your first order with DoorDash. Yes. Did I spell it? Absolutely. But anywho, Torey Krug yesterday made some comments opening up about not waiving his no trade clause to Philadelphia. And I feel like it is important to address this. Torey Krug most notably had one of the most exciting off seasons, even though he didn't say much. And that is because Torey Krug did not waive his no trade clause to come to Philadelphia. And that is his right. And I've said that before. And Torey should not have to do that if he does not want to do that. Torey Krug is somebody that I respect because he was upfront and honest. And he said that he wanted to stay in St. Louis and play for the Blue Note. I respect that a lot. I give him credit for being that honest about the reasons why he stayed. It is probably not an easy thing when all summer you have people speculating why you didn't waive it and coming up with crazy accusations, crazy rumors while you're just trying to enjoy your off season. Torey Krug has a family. Torey Krug has a life outside of hockey. Sometimes people forget that players, they do have a life outside of the game of hockey. And when he addressed the media yesterday, he reiterated that this is where he wants to be. He signed a contract here. It may not have been a good contract, but he signed a contract here for 7 years, and this is where he wants to be. I've said this all along. Torey Krug, he strikes me as the guy that is going to retire as a St. Louis Blue. I don't see him going to any other team, but that's just my opinion. But I think it speaks volume that he was able to just say, hey, this is our first time talking one-on-one. I didn't waive it because I did not want to go. I want to be here and I want to wear the blue note and represent this team. And that's a testament to Torey because that is probably not an easy thing to have dealt with and knowing that you're going to have to address. He didn't give that much detail. So I'm not going to make assumptions. I'm not going to analyze. But what I can say is that I respect that he just came right out and said what needed to be said. I personally don't think Torey Krug is like the best defender, okay? But I can respect the fact of any single person that wants to come out, take ownership, and say, let's address this. I can respect that. And again, who wouldn't want to play for the St. Louis Blues? This is the best hockey city. So I am not surprised at all that Mr. Torey Krug said that he wanted to play here in St. Louis. But, and this is where I want to ask you, my everydayers. Will you give Torey Krug a chance this season? Will you give him a clean slate? Will you say, you know what? Torey wants to be here. He's made it very well known. He did not want to go to Philadelphia. He says he doesn't want to go to any other team. Now, I do wonder if the Bruins somehow made a deal with him. Would he go back to Boston? Probably. But again, not speculating. I'm just like saying, like, probably. He loved his time as a Bruin. But yeah, no, I think that would happen. But from what he said, he does not want to be anywhere else. I think that this is a very interesting time to be a St. Louis Blues fan because you have a guy that says that he wants to be here, then show us the actions. Okay, Torey? This season, play like you want to be here and play like you want the fans to want you to be here. And that is my statement on that. I think that if he plays hard, he plays strong, and he gives it his all, then the fans, we will rally behind him. But off of last season, it just looked like a little lackadaisical on the ice, and it didn't look like he was thrilled to be here. But again, I don't want to hold last season against anybody. Last season was last season. And part of hockey, part of any sport, is the beauty of having a new season, the beauty of being able to put the past behind. So, with that being said, yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic when it comes to Mr. Torey Krug, but I also commend him a lot for addressing basically all the drama from the summer and putting it to rest. And hopefully there will be no more no trade clause dramas because that was exhausting. I mean, the Blues did get Kevin Hayes out of it, so I'm like, okay, cool, but it was not worth all that drama. Seriously. Before I move on to the fact that the Blues could be a 40-plus win team, I just want to let you know that you can follow me on Locked On Blues at Locked On Blues on Twitter. My Twitter at Haley T. Simon. Or you can subscribe on YouTube if you're seeing this. Hello, how are you? It is the first time I'm wearing a sweater this season. It was actually somewhat kind of cold. And yeah, you can follow up with all my Blues posts. I post a lot about the St. Louis Blues. Well, obviously, but you can catch me there and we can have some good conversations. The St. Louis Blues, they could be a 40-plus win team. Last season, they won 38 games, and it is very possible for them to win a couple extra games. My goals for this season, it's interesting. I don't expect much. I don't expect them to make the playoffs, maybe fight for a wild card spot, but not actually get it. At least just put some effort where fans can be somewhat excited about a potential playoff opportunity. But I'm not expecting hockey past April. What I am expecting, though, is for some real change on the ice. I want to see the effort. I want to see more shots being made. Take more shots. I'm going to say it's not that difficult, but it's not that difficult. Take more shots. Take full advantage of the assets that you have on your team. You have a great captain in Brayden Schenn. Take advantage of this new spark, this new energy from the fans after naming Schenn captain. I think that there are a lot of positives and things that the Blues could really do to improve from this past season. Another thing I want to say is I want the defense, I want the blue line to protect Binner more. He does not deserve what happened last season. It was completely unacceptable. And not only as a fan, but as just a hockey nerd, no goalie is going to be able to stop all the shots when you don't have a defense to protect you. You need that defense. You need that blue line. You need a good PK. You need more. And I think that the St. Louis Blues will definitely struggle when it comes to the PK. I think that they're going to struggle on the power play. There's going to be things that they're going to struggle with, but overall, protect your goalie. Realistically, 40 plus wins is not as difficult as it seems. I got to be careful here because watch the Blues get like 39 wins and I'm going to look like an idiot. But I do think they're capable of like 42 wins. I do. I don't want to see them get any less than 40. That to me will be a failed season. And I know some people are going to say, oh, well, hell, not making the playoffs will be a failed season. You need to be realistic with your goals when it comes to this hockey team. You cannot expect the Blues, I'm sorry, with minimal talent to make it to the postseason when you don't have defense. There's so many things that the Blues are missing that makes them basically disqualified from the playoffs right now. Now, I'm going to be a little bit hopeful, optimistic. I'm not going to shut it out just yet, but I'm also blunt. And you cannot expect the hockey team to make it to the playoffs when your only acquisitions over the summer were Kevin Hayes, Sonny, and potentially Ratcliffe if he makes the team. But he's an AHL kind of guy. So, like, do I think that the Blues have that much talent that they got? No. Do I think that last season was a fluke season? Potentially. But I guess, and this is the reality, preseason only says so much. When it comes to regular season hockey, after the first couple games, we will get a feel for what this team will be this upcoming season. Hoping for the best, expecting for the worst. Wow, I am positive when it comes to the St. Louis Blues. I love the Blues, and this is why it sucks. I just want the Blues to be successful. And I am rooting for them. I don't want it to be a bad season and then Berube goes. I just want this team to succeed. So I am hoping, I am praying. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below if you're on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, tweet me at Haley T. Simon or Locked On Blues and share your thoughts. All right, how I end every single episode. Let's go Blues.